What's the first thing you splurged on when you realized you had enough to splurge?
Okay. So, all right. The first thing I splurged on. So when I was a kid, 14 years old, 13, 14 years old, in my mind, what it meant to be successful, it was a Rolex watch.
Ah.
Right. So there was such a valuable lesson out of this. So I thought for years, oh wait, every successful man has a Rolex watch and has diamonds in it. So when I finally was making a little bit of money, and this was in 1999, and I thought, okay, and this, by the way, I was still living in an apartment, paying monthly rent, but again...
Oh, you renting and buying a Rolex?
I was just renting horrible financial
definitely
decisions.
own if you're buying a Rolex, okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is what not to do. So I thought, this is it. I'm going to splurge, and I went and I got myself a Rolex, and I wore it. At that time, I was wrestling. I wore it in the ring, not for a match, but I was doing an interview in the ring. And I wore it in the ring, and a melee broke out, which always happens in the wild world of professional wrestling. One of the wrestlers fell on the Rolex when it came off. It broke. Live TV, and you see me, oh my gosh, my Rolex. And I'm supposed to be in the moment and wrestling these other guys. Oh no, my Rolex. Like you could see the tail. I'm trying to get my Rolex, and somebody's like kicking me, and they're trying to get it. So I finally get my Rolex back. I go backstage and I look at it. I'm heartbroken now. This is my thing. And I go home that night, and I remember immediately thinking, this is a sign. And
I believe in signs.
Yes,
you know,
it's a sign.
Yeah.
And I will, and I don't need it, and it wasn't right for me at that time, and I never got anything like that again.
And so now, do you splurge carefully?
I do. I'm not a big bling guy or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I always want to just make sure that now the splurge is usually with property. Like we have 2 properties that way.
I believe in real estate.
Yes, yes, you do.
I do. I know.
Yes, yes.
I love property the way some women love shoes. You know,
Yes.
I do.
Because it's our
God
anchor.
isn't making any more land, okay?
That's
this is
right.
what we got here on the planet Earth. You're not getting any more. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And also the properties are our anchor. It's where we, you know, can be comfortable. And so I have a few pickup trucks. That's it.
Just a few. So I remember reading this, that it was like WrestleMania 13, and you were still being called Rocky. And there were a bunch of fans at the time who were jeering you, and they were saying, you know, unkind things. And you used that moment and literally turned on your heels and turned it around. Yeah. And, you know, this whole Vision Tour is about people who've been knocked down sometimes in life. Everybody, you know, not in a ring, but have had those moments where you didn't feel like the rest of the world saw you for who you needed to be. That's right. How were you able to turn that around? Okay,
so thank you for bringing that up. So this is, it was a turning point in my career, and it really allowed me to grow, and it really allowed me just to be me. So when I first started wrestling, the idea was, well, why don't you call yourself Rocky Maivia? Out of respect for your dad, Rocky Johnson, and your grandfather, Peter Maivia. I hated the name. And I thought, well, I just wanted to make my own way, and I wanted to be independent. I love my family, but I don't want to do it like that because it feels like I'm trying to leverage their fame. The powers that be said, nope, that's your name. I was also told, well, when you go out and you wrestle, you have to smile. I want you to smile big. This is in the WWE.
Why are you smiling if you don't beat people up?
Because, well, the idea was I was a rookie in the wrestling business. I was what's called, the wrestling business is a term called babyface, which is a good guy. I was being groomed as a good guy wrestler. Young, the idea was you're grateful. Grateful for the opportunity, so when you go out there, I want you to smile. You can't smile enough. And I thought, well, what if I lose? Nope. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Still got to smile, and
Yeah.
it just didn't feel right. That didn't sit right with me. So a few months later, the company made me the Intercontinental Champion. And then a month later, we go into the annual biggest event. It's like the Super Bowl of wrestling, WrestleMania. And it was WrestleMania 13. By the time I got to Chicago, WrestleMania, 16,000 people in the middle of the ring. When I was in the ring, and I'm supposed to be a good guy, and you're supposed to cheer me, 16,000 people were chanting, "Rocky sucks." Thank you for laughing, a few of you. But it was...
Can you hear the word sucks clearly when you're on the mat?
And when in unison, not
not good.
one person, "You suck."
Yeah.
16,000. And I remember laying there in the ring, and the referee said to me, "Don't listen to him." And it was crippling for me.
Yeah.
But so then, at that time, the powers that be thought, this isn't going to work, and for whatever reason, people are not liking you and they're not connecting with you. And so in that moment, it was very defining, because I asked then if I could just be myself. And if I could go out there, and if I can speak to the crowd, and if I could just be myself and be authentic. And if I don't want to smile, I don't smile. If I want to laugh, I laugh. If I want to sing, I sing. Whatever it is, I just want to be me. Can I have that for 1 minute of live TV time? Powers that be at that time, Vince McMahon, said, "You got it." So on Raw, live TV, I grabbed a microphone and I said, I may be a lot of things, but sucks isn't one of them. And I said something to the effect of, basically, it's not a this thing, it's not a that thing, it's a me being myself thing. And before you know it, I guess the moral of the story is the importance and the power of finding your identity and being true to who you are. Even in that wild world of pro wrestling, it still applies to everyone in the room, and how powerful that could be, because it was a true shift and click moment. And I never looked back, and I became, fortunately, the biggest draw that the business has ever seen.
Wow. I think part of the reason that both men and women are drawn to you is that beyond actually the buff exterior, in a world where masculinity is evolving, would you not say? It's changing.
Yes, it's completely changing. It's been a long time overdue.
Yeah, and I would say that in this world, the reason why we love you so much is you've always seemed to be softer, comfortable with your softer side. Mm-hmm. Has that always been, or has that been a learning since your daughters?
That's been a learning experience since my daughters were born, but that continues to evolve. It's a continued management and a growth thing but also being acutely, I think, empathetic. That was a big thing too, was just the power of empathy, and really trying to be empathetic to not only my family, but also people. But then also self-empathy too, really helped me.
And did you learn that through therapy? Because you've been pretty open about how going to therapy helped you when you were struggling to bet on yourself.
I did learn that. It took time for me to learn that one, because I had gone through my first bout of depression. I was 18 years old. After that, I think I was 23. Then after that was when I got a divorce. So it had been a learning experience through that. Therapy really helped me. But
how did therapy help make you more of the man you wanted to be?
Once I understood that, number one, I'm not alone when it comes to mental struggle, and that we all go through it. Because growing up, being in a house, like my dad was tough love, so sharing feelings and emotions, I didn't have that. So I held everything in, and plus I was an only child.
Yeah.
And
were you the strong, silent type?
I was the strong, silent type. Meanwhile, there was a lot of stuff happening going on in here. So for me to become the man that I am today, fortunately, one, I'm not alone. But then the other side to that, it's like the A side, the B side, and maybe the most important side is to communicate and talk and get it out, and it's okay. Like your friend Brene Brown, who I love,
Yes.
we talk about
About being vulnerable.
Yes, it's
Yes.
about being vulnerable and the power of being vulnerable, and something that we shy away from. Certainly men.
Yeah, and I think probably big men really do, because people put another kind of expectation on you when you're a big man. So men don't cry, so big men really don't cry.
Big men really don't cry. You have to be tough through it all. You have to play through the pain and things like that. But, you know, over the years you realize that A, it's unhealthy, and B, it's just not me. I realize that me and the identifying who I am, and who I am is I need to talk about this. I need to talk about this. I need to talk about my issues, my fears, my depression, and it be okay. And so not only am I okay with it, but at times I actually enjoy it, to be able to get it out, especially if publicly, and talk publicly too about it, and how important that is too. Because yeah, you just realize that it's.
Do you feel the weight of your fame?
I do. I really do. Now, especially as you get a little older, you know, and you just feel it. You feel the pressure and the weight of everything. This is why it's so important to, anchor at home and with the family, and good people around too as well.
Yeah.